Hello there! Welcome to Tubi Tuesday. I'm Scotty, you're not, and we are taking a detour on what I was going to do. This was originally going to be Nothing to Lose, which stars Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, but then last night I happened to see this was on Tubi, and I went, nope, I'm doing this because I've been wanting to get my hands on this movie for a while. There is an MVD Blu-ray release that I do want to get my hands on. We're talking about Disturbing Behavior. This is a movie I've heard a lot about over the years, but not enough to the point that I knew behind the scenes stuff. And so I watched this. Only thing I knew was there was an alternate ending because when I was searching for a review, it popped up ending, and I'm like, ending. They wouldn't search that if there wasn't an alternate ending. And there was. So I watched it afterwards, and we'll talk about that. Because I have thoughts, and then I looked up stuff, I watched Joe Blow Horror's video, and yeah, we're going to talk about this movie because while I like this movie, there are some issues, and almost every single one of those issues I have are due to the behind the scenes stuff. So, yeah, this movie is about a family moving to a new town after a family tragedy. The oldest child died, which we're going to talk about that. And Steve, the oldest child, or the now oldest child, I guess, played by James Marsden. I almost said Marsters. James Marsden comes to this new town, and he meets these new friends. But one of his friends, Gavin, one of his new friends, I should say, Gavin, played by Nick Stahl, is telling him there's something going on with the kids here. He witnessed something, which we'll talk about in a minute, and he thinks the kids have been brainwashed. And indeed, we see there's something wrong with the popular students. They act all, pristine and clean cut, but then something's going on with their head where they snap in certain situations and they freak out. And it seems like the adults are sort of in on what's going on because they don't do much when stuff goes on. And it all goes back to this Dr. Alcott, I believe is his name, played by Bruce Greenwood. And yeah, there's a connection there. And so sort of, paranoia. They even have the song, Paranoia, Paranoia, everybody's trying to get me. That song's on the soundtracks. Paranoia, influenced with sci-fi to a Stepford Wives type thing with, both sexes basically. And yeah, so before I get into the plot, and air my problems, this movie was directed by David Nutter, who has done a bunch of TV stuff, and it does feel like, especially with some of the actors you got, like you got Katie Holmes, right? Chad Danella is in this as UV. I think he's supposed to be a what do you call him when your skin is like white? I forgot what it's called. I had it to my tongue. They never really mention it in the movie. I think he's I don't remember what it's called. They had a running gag. Is that what a running gag with the character who's like this in another teen movie, though not used as much. I don't remember what the term for this person, where your skin is like really white, you reverse the sun. Only he's no. I guess there's no outside stuff, but I can't think of the name. I'll think of it. So David Nutter directed this. It has that kind of TV feel, and I'm sitting watching this, I'm like, this could be something you could put on TV. It feels like they could do a TV series with this, like a 13 episode TV series where each episode is trying to deepen the mystery. It seems like that could be something. David Nutter has done stuff for the X-Files before, and he said he wanted this to be sort of like an X-Files type thing. And you kind of get that when you have the character of Gavin, who believes something going on, and Steve, who doesn't believe that. He's kind of the naysayer. So it's the Mulder-Scully relationship, and I see that when they mention that. I'm like, yeah, I can see that X-Files thing, but that doesn't go anywhere because of behind-the-scenes stuff. So the original cut for this was 114 minutes, I think it was, and it was shown to audiences, and they just didn't know. They didn't. So MGM forced cuts. They forced them to cut stuff out, and there was like 5 different test screenings, which resulted in a bunch of deleted scenes, taking out all like big character development, taking out all the connections that the kids had with adults, which is why there's like not really no development with that. And they changed the ending for reasons we'll get into. They had an alternate ending where, yeah. So right away, this movie hooked me because you have this guy. He's in a car with his girlfriend or someone he's trying to hook up with. Mary Jo is her name, and he's. You can tell he's supposed to be one of the clean-cut guys. I already knew the sort of premise with this, but not completely. So, then there, and he's played by the guy who played the Archangel Gabriel in Wishmaster 3. Remember that movie? Yeah. Better Wishmaster 4, but not by much. And I'm like, I remember him. I looked it up. Yeah, he's that angel guy from Wishmaster 3. And he's in there, and he's, they start making out. And he's like, no. I need to focus on my studies. And so she starts going down on him, and he's like, problem is, they didn't cue the actor right. He starts going, and then we hear the zip of the pants, and I went, or no, you hear the zip, and he's just going, I'm like, I don't think she even put it in her mouth yet there, pal. Too quickly on that. But anyway, he starts really getting off on it, and all of a sudden his eyes go red, and he snaps, breaks her fucking neck. I'm like, oh, shit. The fuck just happened? Because you're thinking traditional horror movie, people making out, someone's going to come along, kill them, slasher, right? No. You get that, and then the policeman shows up, and he ends up killing the policeman, and this police chief guy, who I believe was in the first episode of Supernatural, is the Constance Welch's widowed husband. You know what I mean? I think that's him. But he's like, you can get on out of here now, just lets him go. And you see that Gavin, Nick Stahl's character, is watching this. We didn't cut to our main characters coming in. Catherine Isabel plays the younger sister here, and she's just so excited about going to a new school, moving to a new place. And I'm like, what kid is this? No kid ever wants to move. What? This is unrealistic. Is she already brainwashed or whatever? No, they just, wrote her as this excited kid. And we get the backstory, sort of, about the older brother, Alan, who is played very briefly by Ethan Embry, who's now on Gotham Knights. I don't mind that show. People hate it, whatever. I don't mind it. I think it's okay. Anyway, this is where I had my first problem. They explain, the only thing that we get from this is that he had an older brother and he's dead. We don't find out how he died, why he died. We don't get any backstory, because that's one of the things that MGM cut out. It's like, nah, you don't need that. Take it out. And that's the one thing I kept waiting. Okay, what's the backstory at this? There's even a scene at the dinner table where Isabel's character has her friend there, and they're talking about it, and he starts to talk, and Dad's like, no. He's like, tell me, are you going to talk about your dead grandmother? Because apparently you can't talk about your dead brother. And he gets up and he leaves. And I'm like, wait, no. And at the end of the movie, I'm like, wait a minute. How did his brother die? What happened? It was never explained as far as I saw. That's kind of out, So, but, yeah, that's a casualty of this movie. And this movie moves at a brisk pace. What time was for the climax? Is it time for the climax already? Yeah, 18 minutes left. Yes, it is. It's very quick. We get this school janitor played by William Sadler, who is pretending to be mentally handicapped to fool the people so he can move around and do stuff. I feel like maybe there might be some stuff cut with that too, because I don't know. It just seems like there was more they could have done with that character. If that was the most that they had of that, fine. But it feels like there was more. Yeah, Gavin keeps trying to tell that he has this idea. He introduces him to his friend. It's really weird how they're introduced. Like, he's sitting at the table and he comes to sit by. He's like, hey, I'm Gavin. And he starts talking to him. Maybe it's because he sat at their table. Maybe it is. And then we're introduced to UV, played by Chad Danella, who, like I said, is one of those, I don't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember the word. I'll probably remember after I'm done with this review. Anyway, and then we're introduced to Rachel, played by Katie Holmes. Yes. Katie Holmes played a character named Rachel years before she would do it in Batman Begins, and should have continued on to Dark Knight. Look, when I eventually redo the Batman movies, I'm planning on doing the original 4 next year for birth month. But the Dark Knight is going to be its own thing whenever I finally pull the trigger on doing the Christopher Nolan stuff, because I'm going to re-review those. So, try to knock into your head why the Dark Knight is not the best Batman movie ever made. It's not even better than Batman Begins. Better than Dark Knight Rises, but still. And Batman and Robin. I don't even say Batman Forever, but, Anyway, so, then we get AJ Buckley here. You may know from like CSI, or I know from Supernatural, as Chug. By the way, the funniest thing about this movie is I put it on. I like to watch movies with subtitles, so I put the subtitles on Tubi, and the subtitles are from the TNT or TBS, probably TNT, TV version. So all the subtitles are swapped with different words. Like they say fuck, it reads freak. Or one time it said when Gavin went fuck, it popped up jeez. I'm like, really? Yeah, this is definitely. I started noticing, wait a minute. I didn't notice it said like Turner TV version of the subtitles. I'm like, the language, like the actual language, is like, no, they're swearing at you hoo-ha. It said rated R, so it's rated R. You get one scene of tits, which it's a very weird scene we'll talk about. But yeah. So we're very much shown that Rachel is going to be Steve's love interest. The acting in this is pretty good. I think James Marsden is really good. Katie Holmes, what she does is pretty good. Her character is sort of the main female character, but I think maybe some of the stuff got left on the cutting room floor because it's just, I don't know. She's there. She has more to do than most of the female characters in this, I guess, but I think UV was another character that was on the cutting room floor because he's there, and in some scenes he's not there when it's like, he should be there, and then he just pops up later, like, hey, I'm here. I'm like, we'll get to it. So, Gavin and Steve sneak to watch this parental meeting of all the parents, and they're talking about the newest recruit. So they have this guy who's like one of the car people, I think it is, and the next day he's behaving like he's one of the Blue Ribbons. It's like, okay, something's going on, but Steve still doesn't believe it, and he shows him this, and he says, it's revealed that there's going to be a new member of the Blue Ribbons, and then the parents are brought in, and it's Gavin's parents, and this is where I think these characters are fucking stupid. So Gavin obviously knows that something's going to happen. Steve is like, gives him an out. He's like, hey, why don't you stay at my place? Not that it would have helped, because it seems like the parents are all in on it for some reason. But he's like, no, I got a gun. And Steve, knowing that something might happen, is like, no, give me the gun. He's like, no. And there's a scuffle, and he takes the gun. And I'm like, you fucking idiot. You just screwed him. You just screwed your friend. And sure enough, the next day he walks in, and he's been changed. His hair is cut and everything, and he's a blue ribbon guy. And then we get this really weird scene where Steve tries to talk to him, and the other blue ribbons stop him from talking to him. Despite the fact they were trying to recruit Steve the day before, I think no. I'm like, okay, because they have Gavin now, they don't need him. But then later, I don't know. We're like, no. And yeah, but then Rachel, at one point, I don't think it's yet, but sorry, he ends up going down, and like he sees, and this is where it's sort of revealed that the janitor is pretending to be mentally handicapped just to sort of fool them so he can walk around freely. And yeah, so we get another freak out. We get a freak out from Chug at this grocery store. I think it's here, and because he asks Rachel out, she says no, and he's in the line buying milk, and he sees Rachel's midriff, which was in full view earlier, but this makes him freak out. You're starting to get the gist of what makes them freak out. We'll get to it. Yeah. So he freaks out, and like again, this police chief guy barely does anything to prevent him. Like this guy should have went to jail, but who knows? Been to juvie or something. He did something, but no, it's a freak out, and then that's it. At one point, so I think it's here. Okay. The plots get muddled in my head, but at one point Steve goes home and he finds out that Lorna, one of the blue ribbons, was tutoring his sister. And then she starts to come on to him. She realizes she's attracted to him. She sees him and she unbuttons her shirt, get tits. And then she starts freaking out because, the brainwashing's messing with her head. And she bashes her head into the freaking mirror and tries to stab Steve. She's going, wrong, bad, wrong, bad, wrong. And then she snaps out of it. And she's like, I have to go. And she leaves or whatever. And it's like, okay. Then the next day, Rachel goes down to have a smoke, and she finds a CD with her hidden pack of cigarettes in the boiler room, the furnace, which is a weird type place to put stuff. Anyway, and she gets once again accosted by Chug, who starts to freak out on her, but due to the frequency of the rat catcher thing that the janitor is doing, it messes with the microchip in the head. I think he smashes this thing, and that's when he realizes that there's something with that. But again, because he acts like he's mentally challenged, they just walk by. And so eventually Steve and Rachel meet up, and they find like a CD-ROM that Gavin made, sort of explaining stuff. And so now they kind of fully believe that something's going on here. And, it's before he was brainwashed. And, so because of this CD, they find a mental institution on the mainland or another place. And they find out that Dr. Alcott worked there before. And his own daughter has been brainwashed thing. And so this is where it's revealed that Alcott, whatever his name is the main villain of this movie. And so they get back there, and as soon as they get back, it's like someone knows that what they've done. And so it's on. It's on. This is he gets home, and his parents are like, fully in on it, which is, again, I feel like is a product of the cuts. We don't really understand. Maybe it was revealed that this is the reason why they came there in the first place. Who knows? Like, there's really, they're just all of a sudden in on it, and they want Steve to be part of it. And all. He goes to get his sister and take off, and he's forced to leave. No, it's before this. They get back, and they're in the car, and they're gonna get the others, their friends, and his sister, and they're filling up gas, and that's when the police chief shows up and just arrests them for no reason. There's no reason. He's just, oh, you're out after curfew. And they're like, well, you just take me home studying, and normally that would be enough, but this guy is in on it, so yeah. Then the janitor comes and saves the day. Then he goes home to get his sister, and that's where the parents reveal they're sort of in on it, and they've got him enlisted, and he tries to get away, but he and Rachel are both taken, because when he tries to leave, the blue ribbons are out there, Rachel's just taken. And again, this could be the product of the cuts, because Gavin is now back with them, and it feels like he was absent for a chunk of the film, and now he's like the main blue ribbon antagonist here. And again, when we get to the deleted ending, that is very prevalent, but the cuts make him feel very inconsequential, because he's here and then he disappears from the rest of the film until the end. We'll get to that, but yeah, he's here and he's like, come on, Steven, join us, or whatever, one of us. But no, but he gets captured, and so they're taken to this place where they're going to get brainwashed. And because he grabbed a scalpel, he has it, and he's able to cut himself out as they're trying to inject. How are they going to where are they going to put this butt chip? Is it just here? I thought it would be in the skull. It's going like this, like it's going to eye? I don't know. That would, I guess. Well, yeah, I forgot to mention, when they go there, they find out that when they go to the mental institution, they find out that a microchip is to make the teenagers behave, but their hormones are still intact. When their hormones activate, basically, is why they freak out. So you get horny or angry, freak out. You know what I mean? Anyway, he's able to get out of there. And I thought there was going to be some ambiguity with Rachel when he rescues her, because we don't really see whether or not she's already been or not. I don't know. But she's standing there when Chug, because he's the main bad guy, I guess. I guess he's Rachel's main bad guy. And he's like, you got my girl. As if when she's brainwashed, she's going to be his arm candy, I guess. I don't know. So they fight. And she's able to, take him down too. But it's ambiguous because she's like this. I'm like, is it going to reveal that she's already brainwashed? No. Knocks him out. Kills him. Blood. And so they leave, they run out, and they gotta get to the ferry, and then UV, who again should have been in this more, it was probably cut due to the cut scenes, is just with the sister now. When did that happen? Like, he and his sister are in the truck, and I'm like, wait, how did he, but how did he get the sister? There's something cut here, because it doesn't make any sense how UV is just there with the sister. What happened here? Well, I need to see this director's cut. I need to see it, because where'd he come from? And so they try to leave, but again, they're blocked by the blue ribbons, and Dr. Alcott, who's just there, or Dr. Dalcott, who's there at one point. The janitor comes in, and he lures the blue ribbons away with that high frequency noise thing. And so then he runs over Dalcott, but Dalcott survives. He tells the others, Steve tells the others, hey, get to the ferry, I will meet you there. And so he gets on a motorcycle and he drives, and this is where we see the janitor sacrifice himself in leading all the blue ribbons off the cliff to their death. And then he makes it to the just barely makes it to the ferry jumping on it with the motorcycle, and he's reunited with his friends, and it's a happy ending, right? Well, then we cut to some time in an urban school with a bunch of African American kids because we got to apparently this film thinks African American kids misbehave the most, which is very racist, I know, but 90s, right? Am I right? No. It's like, turn the music down. We got a new, turn the music off. We got a new, the teacher's African American too. So I don't know. We got a new student teacher, and I'm like, oh, is this Gavin? We didn't see Gavin go off the cliff. Is this him? Yes, it's revealed that Gavin is still alive, and he is going to spread the blue ribbon word now? Like, he's the one in charge? That makes no sense. Because he's brainwashed. Shouldn't you have an adult or something? It would have been more funny if... Not funny. More if it was Alcott. Or Dalcott. Dalcott. Whatever his name is. That walked in. He was fucking dead. But, like... Because... At one point, I think Steve takes care of him. But, like... Yeah, this ending... Like, people didn't like the fact that Gavin died in the original ending, but this ending just makes no sense. How about... So, the original ending, starts with Steve getting on the ferry, but Gavin is there. He's got the other three held at gunpoint, and he's... Or rifle point, excuse me, and he's telling them, hey, this is gonna go down... And, we're going to go back or whatever. And he's like, just come with us. Steve's like, just come with us. Come with us. I'm going to spread the word or whatever. Come with us. Maybe you're right. But as he goes to shoot them anyway, he gets shot 3 times by UV. And he's like, you shot me 3 times? And you could tell from the faces of Rachel and UV that this is hurting them. This is their friend. And they had to kill him. And even Steve, to a point, you could see. And the sister, for some reason, who never really met him. But it's like, this makes more sense. This ending makes more sense. And it means more for the characters because it's their friend. Now, I like this ending better. But if you wanted Gavin to be alive, why not do an ending where Steve's able to get through to him and break the programming, like, like he uses the frequency to his head and get through to him, and that something breaks the microchip and he's back to normal. The fuck am I wearing? That sort of thing. To me, if you wanted to keep him alive, I think it would have worked better. Do something in that sort of, situation, but the alternate ending, the original ending, I should say, where he dies, does make a lot more sense in this. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me that, yeah, and like I said, there was probably more stuff cut with Gavin as the main teenager villain, because he gets turned, and then there's nothing until he confronts him outside his house. And then there's nothing until he just walks in at the end of that redone ending. And it's like, okay, what? Like, to me, Gavin should have been the main, like, antagonist for Steve. Since he turned into one of them, right? But it doesn't go that way. And I feel like, that's some of the stuff that was cut out. We need a director's cut. As it is, I'm going to give it middle of the road because I really liked the movie. I liked the potential, but I need more. Eventually, I am going to try to get this on Blu-ray. It's a must own, I think. But yeah. So what are your thoughts on disturbing behavior? Leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.